people started coming up to me, coaches and consultants, saying, Daniel, how did you build what you built? How did you do it? Can you show me how to do that? And when I first got my first one or two, I said, no, I work with people who speak with confidence. This is what I do. If you want to learn how to speak with confidence, you can let me, no, I want to learn how to build an online business. And then 3, then 4, then 5, then 10. Then I was like, oh my God. Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Daniel Francis, and we got a little bit of a different video. I got Chris, my camera guy, asking me questions on my personal story entering the coaching space, my journey during COVID when I was deemed non-essential by the marketplace, and what I did. And I was fairly vulnerable and open up about the hard times, the good times, what worked for me, what didn't work for me, and I believe the good decisions and the bad decisions that I made. And so if you really want to hear my journey and what I went through to get to where I'm at right now, I would highly recommend watching this video. And if you are enjoying these clips, like, comment, subscribe, and enjoy the video.
How did everything start? Like, how did you go from being in the corporate world, doing sales, and decide, you know what, I want to go on my own and start doing coaching?
For me personally, I had this drive of being an entrepreneur, being my own boss. And so for a long time, I would say for the majority of my career, I've been what's called an entrepreneur, where I'm growing someone else's business, but I felt like it was my own business. So it was, whether it was going into Vima back in the day, my network marketing company, I felt like it was my own business because I built my own team. Whether it was going into door to door, because if you didn't knock, if you didn't talk to people, you didn't make any money. So even though I was selling someone else's product, I felt like it was my own business. Because it technically was, right? I've never had a salary before. Even with my last job, where it was technically like I was a partner in the company. I ran a department or a location or whatever you want to call it. I grew that to about 50, 60 reps over the course of 3 years. And you know, I made multiple 6 figures. And I hit this point where I had the house, I had the Mercedes in the driveway. So I was with someone at the time, and I was working 12, 14 hours a day. And on paper, I guess I made it, right? Like I think, I don't know what the exact number is, but I think like the 1% of income earners in Canada make 250 grand a year. I think something around there. I know in the US it's like over 400, but I think in Canada it's a little bit lower. And so technically I made 1% of what people make in Canada. And I was like, this sucks. This is not what I want my life to be. I'm trying to make this video not me sound like Mr. Big Shot, because that's not who my personality is. But I looked at my life and I said, I'm working 12, 14 hours a day. Sure, I'm making money, and sure, I'm making a decent income, but this is not it. And I remember even my boss, before I quit, and he did this from like a good place, a good intention, but he drew out a piece of paper, and he drew out house, he drew out Mercedes-Benz symbol, he drew out girlfriend, he drew out 250 grand a year, and he goes, I think you have a pretty good life, dude. And I saw that, and it made a lot of sense. And I just realized, I'm like, this is not it. And I could not see myself doing this for years to come. And so to me personally, COVID was a blessing. I don't know if I would be in these shoes right now if it wasn't for COVID. So I know COVID negatively impacted a lot of people. For me personally, I saw this as an opportunity that I need to take advantage of. And so when COVID hit, I was deemed non-essential. We weren't able to work because a lot of the job was door-to-door or mall events, and the whole world shut down. And so for me, I said, if I don't take advantage of this opportunity right now, I will regret this for the rest of my life. And so I had a conversation with my partner at the time, and I said, I say we should just quit, go all in with something new, and figure it out, right? And that's why, like, I had the ability of sales, really just sales and leadership, but really just sales. And I realized that anywhere I go, if you know how to sell, you're always going to be employed. And so I had that conversation with her. In April of 2020, I quit my job. And then I went into this online space. What intrigued me about the online space is I could work from anywhere. I could have clients worldwide, so I can make money worldwide. I think it's still pretty cool to this day. I can work virtual. I think COVID has really opened up that whole world to that. You can build a business online without leaving your house, or working in Mexico, or working wherever, somewhere nice and warm on a beach, which I have many conversations about that. I know we've talked about this before. And I can do something that I love. I built a business helping people overcome stuttering. My biggest insecurity that I wanted no one to know about, you know, especially back in high school, back in elementary, was like, no one knows about this, and even if they do know, we're not gonna have that conversation. To turn that into a business where I could actually help people with that. And so when March, April happened, I said, I need to take advantage of this. And I know myself, maybe you guys can relate, when your back's against the wall and you have no other option, you figure it out. And so I had to put myself in that pot, and I gave myself 6 months. And so I deferred my mortgage payments. I had a Mercedes that was, I'm not proud of it, it was $1,000 a month for the car payments. Gas was cheap, which was great during that time. And I lived off credit cards. I think I had like, I don't know, 10, 15 grand in the bank. We could talk about conversations of knowing how to save it properly. That's another conversation down the road. Let's just talk about the sales industry. These guys know how to make money, but then they know how to spend it just as fast. Let's say I was part of that world. And I gave myself, I said, I'm gonna figure this out. Fast forward to about August of 2020. Got myself a coach. I learned the system. I did a live presentation in my Facebook group. You know, I booked my first 13 calls, 6 people signed up on a 297 USD program. And then I brought my program up to 2,500. I'll kind of speed through it, and maybe we'll get into more details after. And then, you know, we did about 300 grand in sales in 2021, which is technically my first year in business. That's kind of been my journey of, I looked at COVID as a blessing. One friend used to say this line of like, when the world slows down, that's when you speed up. And so I really took that to heart. So everyone was like watching Netflix. I watched Netflix too. I was like, I gotta take advantage of this opportunity, because when things go back to normal, I need to be in a position where it's like, I'm glad I made that decision. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. When you were starting everything, what made you think, this is what I need to do? I want to start coaching. And then even, how did you choose, I want to help people overcome stutter?
This is a great question. When I first quit my job, what I did was, I was like, I want to learn the online game. So I knew one of my friends was in the online game or was a coach. So I spent a little bit of time with him. I said, what advice would you give me? And he's like, I'm actually looking for a salesperson, a closer. I would love for you to come and do this with me. I said, sure, 100%. At the time, he didn't have any leads for me, so I was just waiting. I was sitting on my hands. I said, so you start getting leads, what should I do? And so he goes, why don't you read these books? So I read these 3 books, hopefully I can put it on the screen: Dot-Com Secrets, Expert Secrets, and Traffic Secrets. And so I bought those 3 books, and I just started reading what marketing is, how to build a funnel, how to create an audience, how to find the right market fit, how to create a marketing statement, difference between different platforms, how to build a community online, how to sell your products, how to build a website, how to have the right copywriting. So I started learning all this stuff, and at the time I was just preparing to be a closer, because I was like, I need to find a job while I build this business. During that period, I have a lot of energy, I was also writing a book on my life, and I called it The Stuttering Salesman. And The Stuttering Salesman was basically a story of my life and all the decisions that I made leading up to who I am today. I realized that every decision I made was to overcome my stutter. It was my biggest insecurity growing up. It's a genetic thing in my family. My nonno has it, my uncles do, on my mom's side. And I realized that it was one of the biggest troubling things that I faced growing up. And I did everything I could to overcome. I tried speech therapy. I was gonna do antidepressants. I was gonna buy this ear device called Speech Easy, which I had a client that did it and it didn't work for her. So I don't know, but that's just one opinion. And so I was like, well, what I could do is I could write my own book and I could publish it. Now, if I publish it while I'm waiting for the leads with this guy, while I publish it, by the time I get 3 or 4 editors, by the time I create a book cover, while the time I actually write it and simplify it and make sure that it's on the market, by the time I go and promote it, it's on Amazon or wherever. I was looking at all different types of book publishing companies. I'm not gonna have enough money to actually, pay my bills. And so I went up to my current coach at the time, who I was gonna close sales for him and get leads, said, dude, I've been applying everything I'm learning. Could you help me as well? I can be maybe one of your first clients. And so that's kind of how it worked. It's like, dude, I'm hungry, I'm teachable. I'm waiting for you, but nothing has happened. Teach me, put me on the pedestal. And so he started working with me and he started simplifying it for me. He's like, dude, so let me get this right. You work with people who stutter. I go, yeah. How do you help them? What do you mean, how do I help them? Well, what do you do for them? I don't know, I get them to speak more confidently. Okay. How did you do it? I don't know, I guess I dealt with rejection and I did, personal development and public speaking and blah, blah, blah. He's like, okay, what's one of the biggest things that changed the game for you? He goes, or I go, well, public speaking had a really big impact on me. He's like, okay, so then run with that. Say you help people overcome stuttering with public speaking. I go, fuck, that sounds good. And then he's like, what is a process of how you bring someone through it? And he helped me build it out. I said, well, what's the first thing that you need someone to learn? Mindset. Because I did a bunch of free coaching. Mindset. Cool, what else? Helping them overcome with fear. Great, what else? Speech techniques to help them stutter less and become more fluent. What else? Public speaking, building a presentation, designing, socializing. She's like, cool, that's your whole process. So go teach it to others now. If people are not gonna be able to pay for $300, they're never gonna pay you at the full rate. So go see if people want it. And then I realized people wanted it. And so by August 2020, I enrolled 6 people. And I was like, dude, crazy, holy smokes. Someone across the world just gave me their credit card. You know? And so even like the tech stuff, you can figure yourself out by yourself, and I'll create another video. Like, you gotta have these realizations of like, if you study successful people, no one ever does it on their own. I know you think you can watch enough videos and try to figure it out. You'll hit a brick wall and realize that you gotta model success. And so I realized that from my last job, from my last mentors, of like, I have to just model others. I can't try to see, I'm gonna cross my fingers and figure out, even at this stage in my life, it's always like, who's the next mentor? Who's the next person I can model? Because you will plateau. If you knew it all, you would be there already. So the reason why you're in your position is because there's things that you don't know exactly. And so I did that, and then I taught the course for 6 people, and I realized that, well, I had this insecurity. People can resonate with the fact that I had that problem, and the reason why they would work with me over a speech therapist is, even though the speech therapist went to school, again, I don't promote I'm a speech therapist. I promote a different vehicle, a different method, which is totally fine. I was freaking out before. I'm like, can I even give people advice on stuttering? I realized that people want to speak like me. I gave people a light at the end of the tunnel, and they resonated with my story of who I was, that I wasn't making this shit up. And then I took those 6 people, got them all results, and then after that, I charged it at the full rate of $2,500 US, and then I brought it up to $4,000, $5,000, $7,000. And yeah, it was cool. Like, that lifestyle I had in my head started becoming a reality. And even though I had some debt and things I had to pay off, I made it real. Like, for example, I have a client, Nicole. She just texted me. She goes, I just signed up my first ever client. It was only $200, more than what costed my program, but it's her first ever client. Someone online said, I will pay you. Best feelings in the entire world. So you've never met in person. And so for me, once I tapped into that, I was like, damn, it's crazy. And so you have to experience that too. And I'm telling you, I think that's where the online education is going. I think that's where careers are going. I think everyone's going into this world. I think if you don't realize this game, it will be too late for you, because it will get saturated. I don't believe this online game is saturated yet.
So ever since you started Master Your Stutter, you've seen your successes in that. Can you kind of explain like why you decided that you're going to start teaching other coaches how to become better and grow their coaching programs?
I'm sure I'll get some flack on this, right? Because they're like, well, to give advice, you need to be making millions of dollars. I think that is a conversation that is more of an opinion, right? Because it's like that line of like, people are always scared to mentor others because they feel like they have to be 20 chapters ahead to even give any advice. And it drives me nuts because it's that imposter syndrome, right? Like, I don't promote like, I'm gonna show you how to create $1 million business. I've created a $50,000 a month business, or I've done $50,000 in a month. I can show you that too. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. Or like, hey, I can show you how to do a $10,000 a month business. And I realize that's one of my skills. Now, how it actually ended up doing this, because I was on my flow with Master Your Stutter, and 2022 happened. And take note of this, because if you don't, I think this is where ignorance comes into play. So people started coming up to me, coaches and consultants, saying, Daniel, how did you build what you built? Like, how did you do it? And then it was, can you show me how to do that? And when I first got my first 1 or 2, I said, no, I work with people who speak with confidence. This is what I do. If you want to learn how to speak with confidence, you let me, no, I want to learn how to build an online business. And then 3, then 4, then 5, then 10. Then I was like, oh my God. And one big line as an entrepreneur is this: give the marketplace what the marketplace is asking. You're being selfish. You're like, no, I know what's better. Dude, I got messages on messages. Everyone's saying, I love your content. How do I do what you do? Can you help me with this? How do I build something like what you built? And so I applied the same formula. There's a couple branches to this, right? I think my Master Your Stutter program will never go away. I think it's something that will always grow. But I said, okay, I'm gonna apply the same, I'm gonna take 6 business owners and I'm gonna teach them, either they have a company or they don't, how to grow their own business online. And I helped all 6. And I realized, I'm like, holy smokes. Not only can I do it for myself, but I can show others, and people are asking me for my blueprints. There's a blueprint that people want. And so there's some people who just make their money teaching others how to grow online businesses or go down this path. And I understand the problems and the challenges, but I took something that I believe is very unique to me. An industry that is fairly small, it's stuttering. I think 1% of people have a stuttering issue, and only 1% of those 1% are really gonna look online at some level and look for a coach. I started making more than what speech therapists were making. They charge $150 an hour, $100 an hour. My program's $7,500. People were saying yes to it. So I realized, I'm like, there's a blueprint there. And then I took all the coaches and consultants and put them through the same process, and they started getting results. Like, this is wicked. And I realized, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. And so I think even at that level, I resonate with a lot of their stories. I'm not just the stuttering guy. And that was a big identity switch that I had to have. I'm not just the stuttering guy, I'm the entrepreneur guy. See, some people can make money, and they're really good at that, but teaching it is a whole different story. And I know that's my innate ability, is I know how to teach and duplicate, whether it was in sales or stuttering or even growing an online company.
With what you've been able to accomplish this far, what words of advice would you give to someone that's in the shoes that you were in?
See, for so long, I was so scared of making the plunge to entrepreneurship. I'm not ready. I don't have enough skills. I don't have enough talent. I don't know if I'm worth it. My boss knows more stuff than me, the owner of the company. The second I made that decision that I'm just as good, or I have the same capabilities, the only difference is they have more time under the bar, and I need to put time under the bar. See, if I can go back to my 22-year-old self, I'd say, dude, you don't have to wait till you're 27 years old to start your own business. 26. I went to your 21-year-old self. Go get mentorship, no problem. But I think too many people stay in that I'm not ready, I'm not ready yet, I'm not ready yet. And I realize I'm gonna make mistakes no matter what age. If I start my business at 26, at 22, at 35, at 45, I'm still gonna have to go through mistakes. And so my advice to you, and one of the mantras that I even do myself is I don't know it all, but I know enough. I don't know it all, but I know enough. I don't know it all, but I know enough. I don't know it all, but I know enough. And I look at my life right now and I realize that I could have started this process earlier. Because even though I'm gonna make mistakes and fail, I'm gonna get back up and figure it out. And so that's what I would tell my younger version of me. You don't need to do something for 4 or 5 years. You can do it within a year, get your skill set or get your knowledge, and get right back at it and go find the mentorship to get to the next level. So I guess that would be my advice to everyone watching this. Hopefully this video was helpful. Hopefully this inspired you at some level. And if you guys have any questions, let me know. Comment down below, share. If you'd like to even chat more with us about how we can work with you and give you feedback on your own personal business, you'll see the comment, or you'll see the description below with a link to a calendar. So appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys later.